see if we can pick up some people from the great freaking TikTok migration.
So we're at 0, but we are live. So yay. Hey, we have 1. Woohoo! We're not doing this in vain. Chris Ritchey, tell us about your small town problems.
You want to ease them into it a little bit
the
first?
book? Sure.
Like, hey, how are you? What's going on?
I'm trying something new here. Next time I'm going to sing, and that will make people hold their ears and scream.
Dive right in. All right.
Well, you got the state with the musical after it, so
there you go. Well,
I guess you should probably preface this, Mike, with the fact that is his book's title.
I figured he'd get to it. Do you have a copy handy, by the way? We forgot to ask before EL gets here.
I wouldn't want to disappoint EL. Yes, I do have a copy.
Well, he's a Texan. I thought you'd want to disappoint him.
What is that?
So that's the
small town.
It's a spaceship crashing, and then this gentleman over here is a moonshiner. Nice little jug of moonshiner's hand. It's got bear traps going all around, warning signs that there's bear traps, and then booze around back. And then the back continues with the windmills that you will see all across Oklahoma in that area. And then this particular person that's on the cover here is actually a conspiracy theorist. So he's got satellite dishes and all sorts of little things because that's what he does.
And he happened to be the one to witness an alien spaceship crash, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why nobody believed him initially, or
exactly.
The main character didn't believe him initially because he's got conspiracy theories about Loch Ness Monster moving over to Lake Eufaula. He's got an ant that was in the KGB. He's got all sorts of little theories that he talks about, so he doesn't get believed by people.
An ant as in like parent sibling, or an ant as in like
yes,
small pest?
Parent sibling. No, like an ant sibling.
Okay.
I mean, mall pest could work for either, though.
It worked for Marvel, right?
So, Chris, how many pages is your book?
It is
exact number.
Roughly, it's like 100. Well, I toned it down to like 126, but that was after I moved the font to 11 points instead of 12. So.
Okay, good. So it's fully within my reading.
It's Mike's size.
Okay.
Yeah. The next one will be
pictures that he's there.
Just on the cover right now for the pictures. So I would like to do more illustrations in the future. I did get some character art done here recently for the main alien character. So that was fun working with my artist on doing that. But just kind of wanted to do it, even though he's only hairy like that in the first few chapters of the book.
And this is your debut, right, Chris?
Yes, sir. That is my debut.
All right, and you were entered into Spacebo, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I did that. I entered that for the first time. That was the first time doing a contest. Figured why not.
They tell people to call it Space Fic, but I never remember that, so I just call it Spacebo because it's,
right.
Everybody knows Spiffbo. But yeah,
no, it makes sense.
We were talking off camera. They actually started cutting people in our group now, so we're 31, now we're 25, and you and I are both alive. So I wish you the best until it gets down to the nitty gritty. Then I hope you fail.
Jesus. Well, I mean, you can't fault the honesty, I guess, Mike. That's nice of you. I honestly, Chris, I thought that you had already been. I thought you were already out.
I thought that too, but I don't know. I could have been looking to the wrong updates because from what Mike was saying, I didn't see those. So
I'm getting you confused with somebody else Mike was telling me about, I think.
Yeah. So I actually found where they have the spreadsheet for the whole competition, and they have all the groups and if there's been reviews or not, and if they're cut or quarterfinals or whatever. So yeah, you are still fine. You actually have had a review. So I heard nothing. So who knows? I might be the next one out. I mean, it's going to happen eventually. So yeah,
Be an improvement over last time, so stop complaining, man.
I was the first out in Spiffbo, so
You're not.
I've already moved up.
What was your review like, Chris?
It was interesting because it was kind of interesting just because she thought there would be more political stuff in it, or he did. I think it was a guy that reviewed it. I'm like, okay, I guess I do have like the big government coming in and doing stuff. I've got that kind of a blurb on the book, so I can see where he might get that, but it doesn't really get into that aspect of it. But overall, I thought it was pretty fair, and it got to the point and understood what the book was about and everything. So, and there were some things that they pointed out that was like, you're actually very observant about that because nobody else has like made that kind of comment yet, but it feeds more into the second book and some plot twists going on there. So it was kind of interesting to see somebody, really delve into that, mention it.
How long have you been working on this particular book?
Well, I wrote it in 2021 to 2022, so about a year. And it was kind of funny because it seems like things were going really well. I started actually doing a chapter a week on my my website, and met some people there that ended up being some beta readers. But kind of learning more about the beta reader process from that too. But anyway, started a chapter a week there. Eventually decided to go ahead and just do a novella length on it and kind of formalize it, put it all together, and thought it was good. I didn't get any negative feedback. Anybody I talked to was like, "Man, I really love it," and I sent it off to some amateur reviewers that have little blog sites, stuff like that, and they all came back with like 5 stars on it. This was like, okay, I guess it's good. I didn't send it to any. I didn't have, because editors cost money and stuff like that, and it was like, well, it's my first book. It's a trial, trying to figure things out. Maybe it's okay not to send to an editor. And then for whatever reason, I was like, I like Daniel Green and I watch his stuff. I'll send it to him. Which he opened in one of his Please Dear God Don't Be a Bomb segments, and immediately was like, oh, I'm going to read this and I'm going to review it. Oh, okay. So he did that, and that was probably the first real constructive criticism that I had gotten, which was phenomenal. I loved every bit of it, and I went back and revised it from there and re-released it last year. Got a new cover artist because the old cover is just manually did it myself. This is the first cover, so it's like, people are like, well, what's sci-fi about that? Well, I'll add a little subtitle, a sci-fi novella, because I'm not like a Photoshop guy.
I would have thought that would be a nonfiction farming book.
Yeah, or a romance book maybe, because there's a lot of small town romance books. But I added that on there, and at some point, but then I went back and hired an editor, got an artist to do actual cover art, added like 10,000 words to it, focusing on immersive descriptions and things like that. And I think it's significantly better than it was. So even though 55,000 people have seen Daniel Green give my book a 4 out of 10, it's a lot better than it was. So,
take us through a little bit of the idea of the book. What's the story?
Okay, so kind of the initial premise of it, I wrote a short story initially about it, just to kind of play around with ideas when I was trying to get back, or trying to do actual writing for an audience, and wrote some short stories and kind of sent them off. And then after a little bit, I started playing around with it and thinking, Because the premise of it was like you got aliens coming into small towns a lot, and a lot of like science fiction and over time, and the way that the small towns are portrayed was, these redneck hicks are going to just go shooting everything down and all this stuff. And I kind of was like, you know what? I grew up in a very rural area, and I think it'd be interesting to try to go from a perspective of people I know and how they would treat somebody who was maybe down on their luck and lost and things like that, instead of just going all, oh my gosh, an alien, So you got an alien crew that crashes on Earth. You have a lone survivor who gets discovered by a small group of people in the town, and he kind of just learns how to survive and kind of get along, and so you got a little bit of a cozy vibe going on for a little bit as he's kind of learning about things, and there's kind of engaging and bantering and things like that. And then, of course, you get plot points ensue, and federal government gets a whiff that there's an actual survivor from this, because there was another spaceship crash that actually happened down in Texas, and they knew about that one. So they find out about this one, and they start getting chased down, and that things work out.
You were saying earlier that your main character's kind of a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist kind of guy.
No, that's just one of the townsfolk.
Okay.
But I like the visualization of, because in part of the book I do say with my main character Robert, he's like, man, if I would have just listened to that guy talking about all the crazy lights in the sky a few months ago, I wouldn't be so surprised right now. So I kind of like that visualization, and it gave that sci-fi feel and the spaceship crashing and all that stuff. So I just kind of captured that particular scene and put it on the cover. But the main character, this is a first person story. Main character's name is Robert. And he's a 48-year-old farmer. He's a widower. So there's a lot of things I'd like to try to explore with a more adult, character that's gone through some grief and loss. Then you've got his best friend is a sheriff of the town, who's a army vet. And then just other folks as well. You got the school teacher that's in there that becomes kind of a love interest for the alien character, who pretty well, if you go by the description of it, it looks like Bigfoot for when he's hairy. But Robert is back in his 4-H days, was a world-class sheep shearer, and he saws the equipment. So they before they venture into town, he gets a haircut.
So the alien comes in and they shave him down.
Yep.
Chris,
If you ever seen the movie Earth Girls Are Easy from way back in the day, I think it was like an 80s movie, but the aliens are crashed and they're hairy, and then they go in for a makeover, a classic 80s montage kind of thing, and they get haircuts, and it's Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Damon Wayans, I think, are the aliens. It's a fun movie, but it's kind of like that little premise of getting a haircut and they look human now.
So Chris, I will not be able to picture anything else than Tim McKay as the alien once he's been sheared. This is what is in my head and will always be. And Tim is not here to defend his good name, so we're going with it.
Maybe he is here. He's just had the good sense not to say anything.
Well, that happened once before, and then he said, "I am here, you asshat." So we'll see. I got a Canadian to cuss at me, so life goal achieved. But anyway, I ruined the whole thing now because we're all thinking of Tim McKay.
A shaved Tim McKay.
Well, shaved to become Tim McKay, like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
So what do you do when you're not writing, Chris?
Just boring old sales, the safety and measurement equipment, things like that. So
So you get a lot of time to think about things.
Not necessarily. It's pretty like just I don't know, intense for the work. My main customers are poultry plants that I take care of, and there's always something going on, always lists to do, and different applications to work out.
What got you into writing at this stage of the game?
My wife going, will you like finally write something? Because I wanted to. I had an idea like 20 years ago back in high school. Because well, I don't know where to start with that, because I actually started my first real writing project that I did for like other people to look at was via a Star Wars message board. We had some shenanigans going on and had fun with it, and it somehow started a little novel with like 6 authors, and we all on the message boards went back and forth with our characters and things like that. And that went on for a couple years, and that really got me excited about trying to do something more creative. I'd done like little things before then for classes and what have you, but that was the first real like, I love this. And then I started had an idea for a time traveling science fiction thing that I wanted to do, and I just kept adding notes to it over the years. And every once in a while, while like driving or something like that, I'll pull out my notepad and tell my wife to write something down for me. So she eventually is just like, just write it. Just get to writing, get it out of your system, go do it instead of just making notes all the time. So that's like, okay, fine, I'm going to do it. So that's what kicked that off.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, and this takes place in Oklahoma. Did you say that and I wasn't listening?
Yeah, it takes place in Oklahoma, a fictional small farm town in Oklahoma, in the middle of Oklahoma.
Well,
now I heard you say that you were on a Star Wars message board.
Yes. We were like one of the top fan sites back then, and I was a co-webmaster for a couple of years.
So you're into the whole Star Wars thing.
I used to be. It's I don't know. I still love it, but the new stuff is
Jar Jar, wasn't it? It just was over the top for you, and you said, "I'm done."
I actually like the prequels.
Well,
in hindsight, I do.
Look at that. Gotta go.
Yeah,
thanks for joining.
You had all the hype leading up to it. I mean, that's when I was doing the Star Wars site. It was before Episode 1 kicked off. Is when I got involved in that.
See, he's a Texan. What do you expect?
Yeah. Mandalorian was good.
Hey, no gang signs.
No, I'm on the gang sign. It's upside down horns.
I know what it is.
I don't really care about
so
that stuff.
all this stuff that you started taking notes about, your time travel fiction, etc. Is that all stuff that you've still got lying around and you're going to go back to one day?
That's a future series I want to get to, but it's actually like completely changed.
Sure.
That's how it started off. It's morphed into something else now that I'm like, I have so many notes on what, just like within the last 6 months, I was like, oh, that would be a good idea, and just completely change everything. But it's my magnum opus in my head anyways, for that like sci-fi series I don't want to do. I'm not going to do that next. It's probably going to be, I want to do start on a fantasy series next, and then go back to sci-fi, and then go back to fantasy. So.
That's what I'm doing. So yeah, except I've been on sci-fi for a while and kind of stuck. But eventually I will go back and write the last 3 books in my 7-book series.
All those people are banging at your door for it, man. You've got to get that stuff done.
And I wake up and they're not there.
Well, wait until you win Space Fic or whatever the hell it is. Space Bow. You wait till you win Space Bow. They'll be beating the path to your door.
Yeah, So, are you ready for a couple silly questions, Chris?
As opposed
Sure.
to...
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the scenario. Work with me here.
Yep.
Daniel Green calls you, and he says, you know what? I want to feature your work, and what I need is the unauthorized biography of your protagonist. What is the title? I need to know what the title is right now.
Who's Daniel Green?
The biggest fantasy and sci-fi reviewer out there. He has over 500,000 subscribers.
Okay. See, I don't get out much.
He doesn't need a job. He gets paid to do this. So anyway, much better than us, Ro. But anyway, what is the title to your unauthorized biography of your main character?
Man. The unauthorized. God, man, that's tough.
And the spaceship came down. I don't know.
Yeah. You lose one sheep shearing contest, and it's all downhill from there.
I like it.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know if it actually says science fiction, but
Well, that's his biography, though. He's a farmer
It's an
until this
unauthorized
stuff
biography.
happens.
You can just sheep. Yeah. But anyway, I have more silly questions for you.
All right.
First of all, do you argue with characters over your plot? And if so, who wins?
I like characters. Very much got to be a character-driven story for me.
But when you're writing, do they decide to take a left turn from what you've planned the chapter to happen, and you're like, oh, I guess we're doing this then? Or do you pretty much know what's going to happen and the characters follow your lead?
Gosh, I think there's a little bit of both in there. Mostly, I'm the driver's seat, but there's every once in a while where I'm in their head, especially when dialogue occurs. That's like, well, they would probably say this, but overarching actions and the plot of things, I'm in the driver's seat for that.
Okay. Have you ever written like 2 pages of dialogue and you're like, yeah, I can't have this. I have to cut 3/4 of this?
Why?
Because
no, I've had it to where I need to insert like action beats and things like that. But that was like one of the major things. What that Daniel Green said was like it's a lot of dialogue.
Yeah. My fantasy series I was working on, I stopped when I realized I wrote an 1,800-word chapter and it was all dialogue. And there was not.
That might be a bit much.
I was like, yeah, you know what? We're taking a break from this because this is an abomination. Oh, and
it depends what the dialogue is and where you are, right? I mean, people have done movies with just a couple of people in one thing. Look at freaking Castaway, right? That's a dialogue movie with one dude.
Well, it's worse than you think because the POV for that chapter was not one of the 2 people who was talking. He was just watching it all. And I'm like, what is this? Oh, my God. So, no, stopping this project. Moving on. Something new. Okay.
Good.
What is the most bizarre review you've got for your work? Or have you got a particularly bizarre one yet?
Not really. The only ones that have like, yeah, nothing really bizarre. I mean, there's like comparisons that people have done that are like, oh, okay, I didn't know anything about that. I need to go check that out. Like somebody said it was like a bit of a campy sci-fi movie that reminded them of like back from the 80s or something like that, but in a good way. It's like, okay.
So I have to say, Tim, I'm glad you're here now and not earlier. You may have been spoken about. But don't worry.
You're a panther, yeah, Chris?
Oh, what?
You
panther? Yeah.
Yeah. So how much do you know about your story before you actually when you sit down and start banging out the first chapter, how much of that story do you have an idea of in your head?
Man, for this one, when I started, I didn't really know. I was just kind of going chapter by chapter. But then I got to chapter 5 and I was like, oh, I know the ending. So I went and wrote the last chapter. But up to that point, didn't really know how it was going to end.
So when you finished, how much work did the last chapter need? I thought you said they meant to the porch cover. I don't have my glasses on. I just looked down. Never mind. Sorry. Disregard.
Anyway, how much did the last chapter need fixing?
I just needed to finish it out. I wrote like half of it. I wrote the main meat of it whenever I skipped ahead. So about half of it was written. I didn't have to rewrite any of it that I had previously laid down.
So you're. I got to stop looking at the comments. Your last chapter then was pretty solid, even when you were only 5 chapters in. Your ending, you had that solidified then.
Oh yeah. It was like clear as crystal in my head on how that needed to happen.
Nice. I've always just had a little kind of. People always say they do that. They write the last chapter first. And I mean, I always kind of know where I'm going to end up, but I don't know how I'm going to get there well enough to write the end. Yeah.
The journey there was took a little bit longer, but at least the chunk of it I knew what it needed to be.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting at. What EL just said is like I have to rewrite stuff all the time. Yeah, exactly. I've got a map and I have my starting location and my end location, and a big bunch of blank space in the middle, and it's like that. I forget who said it. He said your headlights only go 20 feet, but you can drive 1,000 miles that way. So.
And maybe it helped because it was a novella, so it's a shorter length. Didn't have as much to take to get there versus like a 20+ chapter book.
How many words is that book?
45-ish.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice first book then. Kind of. How have you done with? I mean, one of the things amongst all the various difficult things. Selling your book and getting it out there. How have you attacked that as a brand new first time author?
Well, I know I fluffed it out the gate, so there's that. Didn't really do a whole lot of build up. I didn't understand how anything worked, really. So I mean, I just kind of started talking to small time reviewers, thinking, hey, maybe I'll start small and get my name out there a little bit. And then screw up and send it to Daniel, but didn't really do a whole lot of social media. Didn't really get into groups and things like that. Like getting into SFF Inc. Discord.
Yeah.
Man, those people over there, a lot of them know what they're doing, and they're free to help everybody and share information. I think the second book's going to get a lot better for the launch because I've learned everything that I did wrong.
Oh, you haven't.
Well,
you haven't learned everything you did wrong.
Far. Yeah, that's true.
You will find new things to do wrong.
Oh my God, you will find ways to screw things up you haven't even dreamed of yet.
Yeah.
You will publish a book and realize that you have 2 chapters that are the exact same chapter but different chapter numbers. Won't we, Mike? It might not happen until your 5th or 6th book, but
it'll be the cringiest thing you will ever write in your entire life, and you'll have it duplicated.
So
yeah,
you will write Jar Jar Binks, and you will go, "Oh my God, what hath I done?"
But that's okay because Captain Janeway will save the day.
She will absolutely not. She will fuck it up from word one. That's okay.
Ugh.
Oh man.
So, in case you're wondering, I'm drinking some Dr. Pepper with coconut rum, so I'm feeling pretty good today.
Nice. We got water.
Coconut rum?
Yep.
See, if we weren't on like YouTube right now, live and everything, I would make a comment about your bra being too tight, but I won't. So, coconut rum, whatever works for you.
Which crossover is that?
And Dr. Pepper?
And Jar Jar.
No.
Ugh.
Oh, I don't think I mentioned it, but speaking of crossovers, the Star Wars online thing we did was a crossover between Sailor Coruscant and Star Wars. So it was
a crossover between what?
Sailor Coruscant and Star Wars.
I have no idea what those were.
Sailor Moon, sorry. The main character, Sailor Coruscant, was her name because we did planet names or whatever. I don't know anything about Sailor Moon, but one of the main authors did, and she went with it. We had a blast with it, but it was fun.
So I want to ask about your fantasy series that you're going to write. Where's it going to take place? How many books? Am I going to get a starring role, or am I going to be killed? General questions.
It's all about you, isn't it, Michael?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a name for the world of it yet. It's going to be like kind of a D&D inspired book with those kind of characters, things like that. There's going to be 3 sets of trilogies in the main series. It's kind of like how that sounds, and kind of in my head how things will work out. But my first entry into it is actually going to be a side story, cozy fantasy. So that'll be interesting. That'll be set somewhere in the middle trilogy. And that one was kind of a challenge to write because I don't know if you're familiar with Jackson Dickert and his Between Two Ferns series that he does on his channel.
Mm-mm.
Well, it's a mock interview series, kind of like Between Two Ferns, like Zach Galifianakis did, where he interviews authors, and they're stinking hilarious. Highly recommend anybody go check that out. But he was doing one with Travis Baltrey, who wrote Legends and Lattes, and towards the end, he was listing out other alliterations of titles to go with, and he said one that was Maidens and Microbrews, and I made a comment. Oh man, that sounds actually like a really good one. I like that title. He's like, you write it, I'll do the forward. Okay, so I came back with 2 ideas. Okay, we can go with this one or this one. And he's like, oh, that was quick. Let's do this one on it. So that's my next project after this second book of the duology for small town problems.
And Bo has to go to the clinic or something. Me and acronyms,
Yeah. You don't like TLAs?
Like what?
TLAs, 3-letter acronyms.
Dude, I've lived my life with 3-letter acronyms. I just don't want to anymore.
Yeah. I used to work I was in the military, so I'm done with 3-letter acronyms and multi-letter acronyms.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Navy.
Yeah, well, I guess somebody has to be. That's all right.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I was a nuclear machinist, mate.
Fun. Carriers or boats?
Submarines, boats. Yep.
Yeah.
I was on a ballistic missile submarine, so.
Yeah, you could. I wouldn't tour one of those in dock. No. They're like 6 months at a time, right?
Yeah, it's roomier than you think, so it's fine. On the ballistic missile submarines, you're actually 3-month rotations between the 2 crews.
Okay.
The fast attacks are out for longer periods.
Still 3 months underwater? No, thank you.
But you get to wear tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah, you get you're a new guy on the ship, and you get to get pointed out Now, when we dive deep, watch this part of the boat.
Because it all starts to kind of compress.
Yeah. But you don't know it if you don't know what to look for. So
just to screw with people.
Yeah, that's fun.
I was sorry, a little brief interlude for everybody here. We were on a KC-135 air refueling tanker, and I was a public affairs person, so we had some media folks on board, and this lady was we were in South Africa, and this lady was sitting across from me, and she just looked nervous, and said she had never been on an airplane of any type before. So being the good public affairs guy I am, my job was to put her at ease. And I said, do not think for a moment about the fact that you're sitting on 225,000 pounds of fuel right beneath your feet. Don't think about that. And don't think about the fact we're going to be flying at 400 miles an hour. We're going to take a 20-foot metal rod and stick it into another plane going at 400 miles, not 400 miles an hour, whatever it is, whatever the speed was, and shoving like enough gas through that thing, that would take you 24 hours at a gas station to put in your car. Don't think about any. And I thought she was going to throw up, but she had a good time. So all is well. You got to screw with the new people. You have to. It's what you do.
Yeah. I mean, I slept between two, may or may not have slept between two nuclear missiles, and then obviously worked within 50 feet of a nuclear reactor. So,
what, you strung a hammock up between them?
No, the bunks or the horseshoe bunks are there. The entrance to the bunk, each bunk room is missiles.
I have so many questions. You said that this sub was more spacious than you think, but you had to sleep between. You may or may not have had to sleep between two nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you not see a conflict there in that statement?
No, the missiles are big. They make you need a lot of room for the missiles.
Take me to your nuclear vessels.
Did you put your glasses down on top of the missile and just hope that they didn't launch it because then you'd lose them, or?
That would really be the least of your problems if they had to launch them.
Now, the top deck, so there's 4 levels in the missile compartment, and your bunk rooms are on the second, so the very top is nobody's really supposed to go into because there's potential radiation. So you don't want to do that.
Potential, huh? It's a nuclear missile. There's potential.
Well, I have to. These are disclaimers that you're supposed to say because you're not allowed to say when or when you're not carrying nuclear missiles. So we may or may not have had nuclear missiles on board. We may or may not have gone through the Panama Canal with nuclear missiles. Although you're not allowed to go through the Panama Canal with nuclear missiles. Just in case everybody's wondering. So.
Okay. Before I get people coming to my workplace and saying, we need to talk to you, Mr. Bushy. What are you talking about?
Problems then.
Yeah, right. It'll be more than a small town problem with that. Yeah. How long were you in, Chris?
Just over 5 years.
Okay. You saw the light, said, yeah, I don't need to do this anymore.
No, actually, I had a shoulder injury that had a reconstructive surgery. So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. It's one way out. It's good. You're getting paid for that to this day.
Yeah. Not as much as I should. Everybody said I was screwed over. So.
Well, you can always go back if it's still bugging you. Sorry, this is not book stuff. This is anyway. We'll talk after.
That.
We'll talk after.
Funny story with that. Actually, my grandmother was a nurse back in World War II and further on. She actually met her husband, my grandfather, back when he was in boot camp. But she was a nurse throughout the years and was a surgery nurse at one time. And when I got out and went back to try to get re-looked at to see if I could get bumped up on my disability, the doctor I saw was one of the doctors she worked with. He was like, Ritchey, that sounds familiar. Do you know that's my grandmother? No, really. So that was pretty funny.
A small little world.
Yeah.
All right, Michael.
Yes.
Why don't you take his boy through the dome? See what happens.
Okay. We will do that. Have you seen the Bald Dome before, Chris?
The Bald Dome.
Do you know what you're
going
to
so.
That's a no.
Yeah, where we're starting rolling dice. Yeah.
Rolling dice for no reason whatsoever.
Hey, dice are important. I play in D&D. I believe in them.
And you know, I never did. So
Yeah, and you're like one of the only people who's been on the show, I think, that's never actually played D&D, even a little bit. And you have more dice than I do. What the hell?
well, I used to try to sell them, but I couldn't. So now, if anyone wants a dice set buy my book, I'll give you, your favorite color and dice set.
Got it in plaid?
Yes. Are you colorblind? Because that makes it easier for me. Anyway, so we're going to transport your main character, whose name is
Robert.
Robert. And what's your favorite color, Chris?
Green.
Is that Robert's favorite color too?
I am not sure about that. I would think so.
Okay. So Robert is going to have a green fizzy potion that he does not know what it does, and no one's going to know except for me, and Ro's going to complain when I tell everyone what it is. Because
just don't make it,
I roll the dice. I'm honest sometimes.
I'm going to give you a different list of potions, man.
So he's going to be transported to a new novel place that he's never seen before. And then he will get a choice. He can either get a common item or he can get a weapon. If he gets a common item, he will face a common animal. If he gets a weapon, he will face a fantasy creature.
Now your book takes place modern day, right?
Yes.
So like cell phones and all that nonsense.
Yeah, but he doesn't believe in cell phones, so
he doesn't believe in them. He doesn't think they exist.
He doesn't believe in owning one. He doesn't like to be, that's these people and their technology kind of thing. But
doesn't want to be tracked by the government.
Yeah.
Get that COVID shot because they put a tracker in you. That kind of thing.
I thought we were talking about fictional things here.
Well, it may or may not have a tracker in it.
There we go.
So anyway, your character, Robert, yes?
Yes.
Ooh, I remembered. Wow. My memory's getting better. So Robert has been transported to, where did you go? A walled desert canvas area with gates closed for the night.
What the hell's a canvas area?
So during the Silk Road, you'd travel like through the desert and you would get to the walled city where you'd get in, they'd close the thing so you're protected from bandits and creatures or whatever. And then they'd open it up at dawn. They'd close the gates at dusk, so you had to make sure you got to the next base because that was where all the traders were. Otherwise, you're sleeping out in the desert and anything could happen.
Okay.
So anyway, so it's not fuchsia, John. Sorry, it's green. He has a green fizzy potion. It is 100% effective, but you don't know what it does. So if he decides to drink it, or if he decides to throw it at whatever he encounters, 100% it will work. And it is number 5, which is that. Okay. Now, does he want a weapon or a common item?
Does he think this is real, or does he think it's a dream?
He's your character.
Saudi Arabia. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's seen some weird stuff lately. He's starting to become a believer. So let's say he's real. Let's go with
or
I guess common.
Is your character into casual drug use at all?
No.
Okay, then he'll probably think it's real. There's no reason for him to think it wouldn't be.
Okay, so he wants a common item, then you said?
Yeah, sure.
Good, because this is my absolute favorite thing on the list. He now has 3 tallow candles.
Okay.
Or make you a new list, Michael.
So now face 18, which would be a gigantic golem. Instead, he is facing, only a lion. So somebody left the door open at night. A lion got in. He had to go use the latrine. He walks around the corner, and there's a lion. He has one of his 3 tallow candles lit, and he has his fuzzy green potion for reasons unknown in the other hand. What does he do next?
Oh, man. Well, he's faced down smaller predator before, like coyotes and things like that.
With a candle?
So, man. Probably try to hold still a bit and kind of look at him and, oh, there, kitty. Start trying to talk to him, soothe him a little bit. It's okay.
Would you need to roll to see what happens? And the answer is no. I never roll higher than a 6 when I roll a 20-sided die. But if you'd like me to roll, feel free.
Yeah, let's see if we can get the cat to calm down.
Okay.
He's sorry.
15, Row.
Holy hell.
The cat calmed down if I rolled a 15?
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised you rolled something with 2 digits, actually.
Usually it takes multiple rolls.
He's a farmer, so animal handling, right? So
right, yeah, okay.
So, okay, the cat sort of lies down, but he's still between you and the latrine, or between Robert and latrine, and Robert really has to go.
Can I smell the potion at all? There's a
you can smell. What smell would you like it to smell like? We'll make it, but it's not going to tell you what it does.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
It smells like spearmint.
Okay.
Cinnapalm says, drink, drink, drink. Every time I see her name, I think Cinnabon. And it makes me hungry.
All right, let's so I've got the cat calm down a little bit. I don't know what this stuff does, so let's pour it out just a little bit.
The lion is staring at the flame on your candle.
Okay. Let's find a nice little spot on the ground and pour the potion out and see if the kitty will lap at it.
Okay, you pour the potion out, and Ro, I rolled a 3. Does the lion drink it or not?
No.
Okay, so the potion of healing just sinks into the ground and is lost.
The potion of what?
Healing.
Oh man, that may have come in useful.
Yeah.
But
mousing the thorn thing,
On the plus side, whatever little critter is underneath the sand is feeling great.
A sand bony, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you need.
So the cat is now interested because he sort of took that as like you were taunting him or making a play for dominance when you poured the potion out in front of it.
Actually, the sun is reflecting off your watch, and he's watching the reflection of it go across the sand. Like a laser pointer.
So, what does he do now? Does he try to blind the lion with his watch or what?
I don't think blind one, but maybe see if we can get him to scurry off. Maybe follow the light on the ground like a cat with a laser pointer.
Ah, I like the idea.
So, does Robert not know anything about lions?
Probably not.
I mean,
we're not like Texas where we have tigers everywhere. I mean, we've got normal cats in Oklahoma.
So,
well, ever since the Joe Safari guy went away, but that's different.
So you tried to get him to chase the light or whatever, and I rolled an 8.
Yeah, he's not doing that. It's a lion. It's not a tabby cat.
It's all part of the same family.
He should be eating you right now.
Actually, I'm going to roll. If it's odd, it's female. If it's even, it's male. What do you say? It's odd, so it's a female.
Oh, you are so fucking dead. What's around him? Mike, give him a chance.
It's a closed market. There's stalls.
Oh, he's actually in the city.
It's like a trading post, like thing for the night. You stay there, you're safe. You pay your gold coin to.
You're obviously not safe if a female lion is in there.
Apparently, the guards were playing dice and let the lion roam in from the desert.
Great.
Yeah, I was about to say, can we call for the guards?
Okay, so you've got some options at least, Chris.
You call for the guards, and I rolled a 5. It's probably best that I don't play D&D.
It's really, really good that you don't.
Are there any other animals around, like horses or camels or anything?
Yeah, yes, there are both horses and camels.
So I'm going to try to slowly back up to where the horses are.
Okay.
Because can handle a horse. And I'm going to kind of see if I can maybe turn it around so the back's facing the lion.
You think the horse is going to let that happen?
We'll have to roll and see, won't we?
Oh my God, no.
16.
Okay.
See, the animals he knows, they do it.
So he's the horse whisperer. Got it.
Yep. So gets the horse turned around. Thinking his best bet is to try to goad the line a little bit in to where they're in the reach of the horse, and then give a big old slap and get it to kick his feet, take out the line.
And have it chase. I like your thoughts.
No, not have it chase. Have it kick.
Okay.
Take out the line.
Okay, Ro, what do I need to roll for this to be successful?
16.
12. So you slap the horse and it runs. Doesn't kick, it runs.
Okay. Well, I'll be still and see if the line chases the horse now.
12 or better, Mike.
1.
1?
1.
He got to see something new before he died. That's nice.
Oh, moral to the story: do not let Mike roll. Do not let your fate be in my dice.
Dude, that's horrible.
Oh man.
All right. So, when's your next book coming out, Chris?
Oh man, I don't know yet. Hopefully this year, if I can kind of buckle down and start doing it more. Not adding to it as quickly as I would like, but I am adding to it.
You think you're going to start doing like shows and events and getting out there like that once you get your second or third book out?
Yeah, I'll definitely do something more to get my name out there, get the ball rolling and things like that. Much more so than I did for the first one. So learn some things.
Yeah, it's just a big learning journey, is what it is. It's oops, sorry. All right.
I have more questions. They're more kind of serious, kind of. Do you have any rituals or routines that help you get into the writing zone, or are you one of those evil people who can just sit down and start writing?
Yes. I can, yeah. Like one of the fun things I used to do way back in the day as well when I was doing the Star Wars stuff is one of the other co-authors, we would just chat sometimes and she would be like, okay, write a story about a tree. And I would just write out a story for her about whatever and turn something into whatever fantastical thing just right off the bat. I don't have an issue at all doing that stuff with a drop of a hat. I love it.
You don't get sidetracked by the internet and games and stuff like that?
Not like if I'm like in the zone and sitting down to do it. Now, before I sit down, I may get sidetracked. That's for sure. But once I'm like actually doing it, I don't have a problem sticking to it and just keeping
yeah, but once you start, that's never the problem. It's the the first 2 minutes when you sit down at your computer and go, let's check email. Let's go over to YouTube real quick, or let's play a little Civ.
Let's check and see if I've sold a book in the last 3 minutes.
Perfect.
No, I only do that during the day when I'm supposed to be working.
Okay.
But I think once I'm like determined that, okay, I'm going to go over here and write, I don't get sidetracked like that, fortunately. It's just the matter of, okay, I need to go over here and write. That takes some maneuvering to make happen.
Yeah. What's a typical writing session like for you? 1,000 words, 20 minutes?
Probably 20, 30 minutes of time is pretty typical because I try to, like the best times I usually get to sit down and write where I'm like feeling energetic and stuff like that is usually during like lunchtime. So I'll take 20, 30 minutes to do that. Then there's sometimes in the evening where things are calmed down and I'm still have energy and things like that where I'll do that. But usually like 20 to 30 minutes. And just however many words can get out after that, because I do have a bad habit of editing as I go.
Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily a bad habit.
It can be, but yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I had a question here. Where on my list? Where did it go? Where did it go? I don't know. So let's just go with what software do you use to write your novels? While I find the question I really wanted to ask you.
Well, I'm currently using Campfire to write in.
The hell's that?
So it's a platform. I used to just do Google Docs. I still do keep all my notes and stuff like that in Google Docs. But as far as like actual, well, you can access it everywhere. I can bullet point it and stuff like that. And I don't have to pay for a bunch of extra modules. But for like the manuscript portion of it, the module over at Campfire is pretty good. I've been using that for I think several months now. So I like it.
Did you find your question, Michael?
I did, but Cinna wants to know if there will be audio.
I am in the process of trying to figure that out. I watched one of your other videos that had like EL on it, and where he talked about he did his own audiobooks. So I reached out to him. I was like, help me out. So we talked a bit. Actually, had in that little video conference to go over things because I was having some troubleshooting issues, which were completely my fault on it, and I figured out afterwards. But I've got some stuff going on. I've got a little microphone and some sound padding going on over here now, and then I've started to go through the novel and kind of highlight things and try to figure it out. I think the biggest issue for me is going to be breath control because I was in the band way back in the day and I played the trumpet. So whenever my force of habit for breathing in before playing and stuff like that is a more sharp intake, which you'd have to edit out a bunch. So I've got to relearn breath control for the narration purposes. I think that's going to be my biggest thing, but I'm going to try it. I think I do voices pretty well. I like doing voices. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so I found my question. We talk about all the problems about writing. What is the thing you enjoy most about writing?
Man,
what are the things you like a little bit?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things I like. I really like getting characters to talk to each other and have that banter back and forth. It just kind of just being in those characters' heads and having those dialogues is a lot of fun for me. But I think the biggest thing is like when somebody reads it and they make a comment like, "Oh man, this is exactly how I." My experience with this small town, this is how it is in my small town kind of thing. I had somebody from like Kenya was my first like major person I started talking to, somebody over in Kenya. It's like, okay, that's a lot of similarities in this like kind of culture. It doesn't matter where you're from. It's crazy.
He wasn't a prince, was he?
No. No.
And Bat Sauce has made it here, so that's good. Okay. And then what is the hardest part for you?
Probably, I mean, like outside the writing of it, like the marketing, trying to figure that out, which is weird because I have a degree in marketing, but it's self-promotion is a kind of more of a hindrance for me, I guess, because I'm one of those guys that prefers to be in the background and do the behind the scenes stuff. So to be out there and be like, hey everybody, read my stuff is a bit more out there for out of my comfort zone.
And you don't have hardbacks, do you?
I mean, they're available. I don't have any on me, but you can get one.
So may I suggest that you throw the hardback and hit the person in the back of the head when they fall down. You put the book underneath them and you take the money from their wallet. Great way to get a sale. No, I see no problem with it. You can sign it or not. That's up to you. So that's the advice I have. But yeah.
All right. You need to get some rest, Michael.
I need another drink.
Coffee.
Cinna's got to watch an Avalanche game, and I've got to get back to season 3 of Shoresy. So.
I got it right, so I'll probably end up cleaning my refrigerator.
Yeah, right. There you go. What will you be doing that's not writing tonight, Chris?
Well, it's getting pretty close to kids' bedtime, so I don't have a story tonight. I actually might write something tonight. We'll see.
Hamster Huey and the Gooey Kablooey. All the Calvin and Hobbes fans know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Now we're reading Aragon right now. So.
But Cinna. Who are they playing, Cinna? Wish you luck. Depends on who they're playing.
It really doesn't matter.
It does. If they're playing the Habs, I don't wish her luck. Anybody else, I don't care. All right. Website, Chris?
Jesterslibrary.com.
Jesterslibrary.com. Jesters with a J.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me put that up here real quick.
And so far, we're both still alive in Team Red Stars. So hopefully I will see you in the quarterfinals.
Here's to hoping. That'd be great.
And Mike and I are back on Tuesday with, hold on, I got it right here. Hold on.
Good.
With MT Zimney. Okay.
I
And
have not actually spoken to her, but I've heard any number of people say that is going to be a great interview. So,
right.
no offense, Chris, but I think she's probably cuter than you.
None taken.
And if you can't wait until Tuesday to see Mike and I again, we are going to usher TikTok the hell out. We will be with Sebastian Carlisle at noon on Sunday for whatever it is Sebastian's doing. So look at Mike or I's Twitter. I'm sure we'll have a link there before Sunday. Sunday at noon.
I should probably tell you it's about how do you brand yourself, and not physically. So
why are we on this?
I was like, this will be the shortest segment ever.
Oh my God, yeah. Okay. Anyway, Chris, thank you very much. Enjoy Oklahoma. I've been there. One place is very much like another. I'm not going to bag on Oklahoma. It's it's got enough problems without me complaining about it. So plant some trees, dig something, push all the dirt together, make a couple of hills.
Okay.
And thanks everybody for showing up tonight, and we'll be back on Tuesday.
Okay. Thanks everybody.